Hey, welcome multifamily investors. Brandon here, and I've got Christian with me again. And today I wanted to ask Christian about how's your 401k going?
Dude, it is going very, very well.
So
I
is
zeroed
mine.
it out a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so while everyone's panicking that their 401k is disappearing, I have already pre-disappeared mine in preparation for exactly where we're at.
I am in the same boat, Christian. I gave up on the whole 401k idea a long time ago, and I do very, very little in Roth IRAs. But this is not giving you financial retirement advice, just talking about one perspective on why we both don't pump money into 401ks. We pump money into
Real estate.
real estate that will provide cash flow. I was running numbers today on somebody, taking an example of someone who saved their entire life, Christian, had $2 million in cash, which I think is a pretty good nest egg in somebody's mind. At 65, by the time they were 85, they would pretty much deplete that if they lived a modest income. And I say modest because with inflation and everything, and when you have Medicare and all these other expenses that come up when you retire, 12,500 a month or so. So it's 150,000 a year. With inflation, it's by the time 20 years comes around, you might be needing about 220,000 a year.
Yeah.
But even if you made this about 6% on that 2 million at age 85, which is still pretty healthy these days. My stepdad's 82 and pretty healthy. He could be living well into his 90s. At 85, you would be completely at zero. You'd actually be negative $40,000 a month. That $2 million nest egg that you saved up for and tried to live on is now gone.
See, that is really hard to survive on. When you're surviving on negative money, I'm going to say that the math does not work. The biggest problem that I've seen is that people are still stuck in the old way of doing things, which is you can save your way to financial freedom. The problem with that is that inflation has gone crazy. The dollar just does not keep up. Income is not great enough. And so if you are working on today's dollars and you project that way into the future, it's just going to get diminished and diminished and diminished until there's nothing left. You combine that with what you mentioned, people are just living longer.
Right.
If you try to save your way to wealth, you will outlive your money. You have to have in assets that continue to make money so you're not just spending through.
Yep. And here's a good book recommendation I want to touch on for people is Killing Sacred Cows. I read that, I don't know, 12 so years ago, and it really opened my eyes about not needing this huge cash nest egg that you're going to deplete when you retire, or God forbid get into like an assisted living home, which is going to really skyrocket your need for cash. But buy real estate that provides cash flow indefinitely, right? And will provide that so there's no depleting, and you've got that income coming in, and then your heirs, that's awesome. They'll have something left over too. You won't be leaving them with absolutely nothing because you depleted it trying to stay alive, right? So just something to consider reading. It's a good book.
Well, and historically what real estate does is it auto-adjusts for inflation. If we print more and more money, there's more money in the economy, people can afford more rent. Rent tends to go up. It's run like a business. When you look at stocks, you don't have the same level of control over the pricing. You can't make a decision as an operator saying, you know what, I want my stock to kick out more money this month.
Right.
You just can't do it. And what happens when you invest in a stock or a mutual fund and people start making bad decisions? CEOs make a bad choice on an individual stock, or the economy pulls back right as you're retiring. The biggest problem that I have with 401ks is that you cannot control the market or the people when it's time to retire.
Right.
And I had that happen with tons of people. It happened to my family.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, they hit retirement age, like I wanted to retire this year. But the market took a dump, so I'm working for 3-4 more years. And while that might not sound like a huge deal if you're living to 81, 4 years is still a lot of time, especially if you hate your job, where you're just stuck working. You're not that young at 65, and if you have to push to 69, 70 years old, you have no control at all. With real estate, all I have to do if I want to make more money is give it more attention to be a better operator.
Right. And I've had stock that go to zero before. This is before I learned about stop losses and everything. That's a bad day. When you are watching your stock and you think you've got all this money, and the next day you wake up and you read about a bankruptcy or something, and your stockbroker tells you can take that stock certificate and wipe your ass with it because it's worthless basically at this point. That's a bad day. Our real estate's never going to go to zero. It can burn down. You have insurance, you've got the land, right? But I don't have to worry. I don't have to check on the value of my portfolio on a weekly or even daily basis like a stock. So, to each his own. That's our input. That's our take on things. I'm going to be saving. I'm all in. I'm bullish, a stock term. I'm bullish on real estate, multifamily in particular. I'm going all in on that.
Yeah. Well, the last thing that I'll end on is you don't want to trade paper for paper. A stock in and of itself has absolutely no intrinsic value. It's just a valuation of what a company's worth, and companies live and die, and indexes will probably never go to zero, but you can lose a lot on them. With real estate, you actually have intrinsic value. You can't make more earth, at least we haven't figured out how to yet. And so you have a finite supply issue. You have a lot of very predictable factors. You have direct influence. But the biggest piece with real estate is it cannot go to zero. You can place money in that, and throughout all of human history, over any given period of time, an extended period of time, real estate will go up over time and will never zero out. So if you want to protect your future, invest in assets like real estate.
And have control, right?
Yeah.
I can own Amazon stock and I can shop every day on Amazon. I'm not going to affect the stock price, So there it is, control. That's what I like, and having more, oversight of the assets that you have that will perform long term and leave something for your heirs. Much better than considering something like a 401k, right? The term that Rebecca and I kick around is you don't need a 401k, you need a fourplex. So there you go. Leave with that. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. Follow his content with Christian and Cody, Multifamily Strategy. It's a great course. They've got masterminds, everything else. All right. Thank you for watching.